Hello and welcome to this week's final edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. As always, we're prepared to take a look at this morning's top stories, both international as well as local. So let's dive right in. A special parliamentary session chaired by Speaker Dr. Jagat Vikramaratne is scheduled to take place today to present the Supreme Court's decision regarding the local government elections. Following this, the Parliament will debate the Local Authorities Elections Special Provisions Bill next Monday. If the bill is passed, the subject minister will be granted the authority to call for new nominations for the election. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Vocational Education Nalin Hevage says that the budget proposal that is set to be tabled in Parliament on the 17th of February would mark the first step of developing the country according to the vision of the Government of the National People's Power. He says that through this year's budget, a salary increment will be proposed for state sector employees. Noting that school students are already parliamentarian, Namal Rajapaksa obtained his law degree. The acting IGP adds that he has received several complaints about Namal Rajapaksa's successful completion of the law examination, alleging that it was problematic. He says that inquiry will be conducted with the recommendation of the principal of the Sri Lanka Law College. On to more local news now. An expert committee has been appointed to overlook the process of cleaning the Beira Lake as well as submitting recommendations for its development. Minister of Urban Development, Construction and Housing Therunee Karunaratne said that the committee will comprise of 12 experts in the field. Despite several attempts to clean the Beira Lake, previous projects have not yielded successful results. The minister revealed that 21 sewage channels in Colombo, including 4 major channels, currently flow into the Beira Lake. Plans are in place to stop this within this year. The minister also highlighted that algae growth has significantly contributed to the foul odor as well as discoloration of the lake's water. The program is based on international practices, and this will be prepared by the committee to address the existing issues. Meanwhile, the Department of Forest Conservation is urging the general public to avoid starting fires at sanctuaries as well as forest reserves amid the ongoing dry weather conditions in Sri Lanka. Director General of the department, Nishantha Edirisinghe, emphasized that such actions could cause significant harm to the sensitive ecosystem of the Central Highlands. Around 11 fires have been reported in sanctuaries and forest reserves so far this year. The districts mostly affected by these fires include Badulla, Kandy, Nora Elia, Mathale, Ratnapura, Monaragala and Kegol. Edirisinghe warned that strict legal action will be taken against anyone responsible for starting such fires. In a recent incident, a fire broke out in the Ravana Allah Sanctuary in Badulla. Badulla District Assistant Director of Disaster Management EML Uday Kumar said that the fire started near the popular Allah Gap viewpoint. Due to strong winds and dry conditions, the district disaster management unit struggled to contain this blaze. They suspect that the fire may have been deliberately set by an individual or a group of individuals. It's time to move on to your weather update for this morning. The Met Department says that mainly fair weather will prevail over the island. A cold weather can be expected in the northern, north central, eastern, northwestern and central provinces during the early morning hours as well. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the north central, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern and Uber provinces during the morning. On to the marine weather update. Mainly fair weather will prevail over sea areas around the island. The sea areas off the coast extending from Colombo to Mannar via Puttalam and from Galle to Puthville via Hambantota will be fairly rough at times. Let's move on to news overseas for this morning. Two of our international news items concern Indian Prime Minister Modi's official visit to the United States. Now, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump met in the White House to discuss trade and other matters. Trump announced a deal for Delhi to import more US oil and gas to shrink the trade deficit between the two countries. The meeting between the two comes after the US President announced a new reciprocal tariff plan and said, quote, "Our allies are worse than our enemies," unquote, when it comes to import taxes. The tit-for-tat tariffs will apply to all US trading partners and are the latest in a series of tariff measures that the Trump administration has announced. No starting date for the tariffs has been confirmed, but Trump has previously used the threat of tariffs as a negotiation tactic. Prime Minister Modi's visit to the White House comes at a complex moment as his Make in India manufacturing push at home meets Trump's America First doctrine. Unlike their warm 2017 meeting in Washington, this visit is shadowed by global trade disputes and Trump's unrelenting focus on tariffs, with the White House announcing plans for new reciprocal measures on India. Modi's key priority will be avoiding the impact of US tariffs and import restrictions, ensuring that India remains a vital strategic ally. He said that he is open to reducing tariffs on American goods, repatriating undocumented Indian nationals, as well as increasing US oil imports to address trade imbalances that are currently existing. Beyond trade, Modi also seeks to strengthen cooperation in technology, defense and energy, emphasizing shared interests. Politically, Modi is using this visit to reaffirm India's position as a key US ally in the Indo-Pacific, countering China's influence. Trump's base remains skeptical of India, seeing it as a competitor for American jobs. Let's take a look at what the two leaders had to say.
President Trump's leadership has been instrumental in nurturing India-US ties and making them vibrant. Our discussions today highlighted our pride in our accomplishments during his first term, the deep mutual trust that we share, and also the resolve to attain new goals. Our teams will work on concluding very soon a mutually beneficial trade agreement in order to ensure India's energy security. We will focus on trade in oil and gas. Investment in energy infrastructure will also increase. In the area of nuclear energy, we also discussed increasing cooperation on small modular reactors.
We're going to have a fantastic relationship, and it has been, look, the whole world's been set back over the last 4 years by the weakness of the United States, the weak leadership of the United States, but I think we've taken care of it in just 3 weeks. It seems to me that even some of the media that we wouldn't prefer has been writing that this is a much different country right now, that the world has a light over it. Not only our country, but the whole world. The Prime Minister told me that before, too, even over India. The world has a light. They need the United States to be strong and powerful, but good. And I think that's happened, and I think it's happened in a very short period of time. But I will tell you, we're going to have a fantastic relationship, and it'll make both countries much stronger.
Well, that was the meeting that was held between Indian Prime Minister Modi and US President Donald Trump. Now, Indian Prime Minister Modi also met with Tesla CEO Elon Musk in Washington, where they discussed issues including space, mobility, technology and innovation. And this is according to Modi's post on X. India's foreign ministry said separately in a statement that their discussion also touched on opportunities to deepen cooperation in emerging technologies, entrepreneurship, as well as good governance. On Wednesday, a foreign media reported that Modi was slated to meet Musk, the CEO and founder of SpaceX, during his trip this week to the US, and Starlink's entry in the South Asian market could come up for discussion. SpaceX's Starlink has long wanted to launch in India and has in recent months clashed with billionaire Mukesh Ambani's company over how the country should grant spectrum for satellite services. India's government has sided with Musk that spectrum should be assigned and not auctioned, but Starlink's license application is still under review. India's looming decision on US-based Starlink has shaken the country's domestic satellite internet sector and made its regulatory strategy on space-based communications a key issue in the country's push to stimulate commercial space activities and become a competitive force in the global space race. Shifting your attention to Ukraine. Ukraine will not agree to go into any peace deal proposed by the US and Russia without its development. Now, this was said by President Volodymyr Zelensky, and he said this after Trump and Vladimir Putin pledged to begin talks to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Zelensky said, "We cannot accept it as an independent country." The US president had talked of a good possibility of ending the war after he and Putin spoke over the phone. It was not practical for Ukraine to join NATO, according to Trump, and unlikely it could return to its pre-invasion borders. He has now suggested that Russian representatives will meet with Americans on Friday in Munich, which is hosting a security conference. Zelensky is set to meet Trump's Vice President J.D. Vance in the German city on Friday. The Ukrainian leader, who has also had an individual call with Trump on Wednesday, said his country could not accept any agreements made without their involvement. Ukraine's European allies also rejected any move towards a forced settlement on Kyiv. UK Defense Secretary John Healey said there could be no negotiation about Ukraine without Ukraine, and Ukraine's voice must be the heart of any talks. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz rejected a dictated peace, and his defense minister said it was regrettable that Washington was already making concessions to the Kremlin. Meanwhile, the EU foreign policy chief also accused Washington of appeasement towards Russia. Now, Trump, who made the first publicly acknowledged a White House call with Putin since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, said that he would meet Putin in Saudi Arabia. However, he did not give any more details about this. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday in the Oval Office, he said that Putin wanted the war to end and he expected a ceasefire soon. When asked if Ukraine was an equal member of the peace process, he said they have to make peace. Well, that's a wrap of this week's final edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. Today marks the start of a weekend, so of course I'll see you once again on Monday, the 17th of February, right here on TV1, same time, 7 a.m. Until then, take care, have a wonderful day and weekend ahead.